When I was a kid in the early 80s, I could come home from school, make a snack, and procrastinate doing my homework by tuning into a TV game show where contestants would compete by answering trivia about and actually playing arcade video games. Pretty awesome, right? Yeah, it was. And it was just another in a long list of things that exist, thanks to Generation X.
Rubik's Cube.
Most of the coolest stuff there is came out of our generation. The following was brought to you by Generation X.
The TV game show that was like a trip to the arcade was called Starcade.
Well, let's go and play Starcade!
It aired on the then fledgling TBS cable channel and then later in syndication. And Starcade was my favorite game show by a country mile. And keep in mind, all of this was way before esports was ever a thing, let alone a word. The game was a head-to-head competition against two players or two teams of two players, regardless of age, and 3 rounds were played. Each round began with a video game arcade-related toss-up question.
In the game of asteroids, the player controls A, a triangular spaceship, or B, a disc-like saucer.
First one, the triangular shape.
You got it, that's what it is.
The player that buzzed in got to pick one of the 5 arcade machines, and they were given fewer than 60 seconds to get the highest score they could, and then the other guy took his turn. The second and third rounds were more of the same, but usually with a little less time on the clock. At the end of the second round, whichever player was in the lead got to play Name the Game, where they identified 4 arcade games just by their screenshots.
Number 4. Is this Pac-Man or Baby Pac-Man?
Pac-Man.
You got it!
If you identified 3 games, you got a prize. If you got all 4, you got an even cooler prize. Just to spice things up, one of the 5 arcade machines was a mystery game.
And let me tell you right now, Drew and Elaine, one of those games has a bonus prize attached to it. And if you
just for picking that one, you could win a prize. At the end of 3 rounds, whoever had the highest score moved on to the bonus round. They picked one of the 2 games not yet played. They were given 30 seconds to beat the average score of 20 other players on the game. If you did, you'd win the grand prize.
To go for the grand prize, your very own video arcade game, and there it is right behind us, and it's Popeye!
And that was usually a real, full-size arcade cabinet that you got to take home and keep. Now, as much as I always loved watching Starcade, I was always incredibly frustrated with the contestants and their lack of strategy. They just didn't think it through. You have less than a minute to get the highest score possible, and they didn't think about it that way. Think about Pac-Man, for example. If you're trying to get the highest score possible, you don't just munch dots, you go straight for the power pills and eat the ghosts. But they would wander around the maze, dodging ghosts and eating dots, forgetting about the fact this is a game show and you have a limited amount of time. It's a whole different mindset, and more often than not, contestants didn't even think about that, or at least they didn't seem to. So I always thought, with that kind of outside-the-box strategic thinking, I would have dominated on this show, what I wouldn't have given as a kid to play on Starcade. There were 123 episodes of Starcade produced, and they initially ran between 82 and 84 on TBS and a few other cable networks and syndication. Gone but not forgotten, every once in a while, the streaming site Twitch will run marathons of Starcade. And in January of 2017, a company called Shout Factory acquired rights for a reboot, but we're still waiting for that thing to hit the air. And that was Starcade, the epic TV game show where contestants played video games, and it was brought to you by Generation X. Subscribe to Gen X Grown Up by clicking right here and enable notifications so you won't miss a thing. Use the comments down below to tell us what you think, and while you're there, a thumbs up would be great too. Please share this online wherever you hang out. Connect with GXG on social networks by clicking right here.